Hey everybody, so I deleted my first video because I am not that bright with technology. I was devastated. I was having an awful day yesterday. I don't know. I pressed on a thing that said that this video can upload. I thought it was okay to delete. It deleted the other one. So I'm going to try to give you a quicker version of how I got diagnosed with endometrial stromal sarcoma. So here we go. I'm just lounging around. Let's do this. So, in August of 2012, I was 25 years old and I was diagnosed with endometrial stromal sarcoma low grade. So I had had two pregnancies before this. One in 2011 was a tubal, and one in 2012 that was a pregnancy. But I ended up losing it. So with that being said, I had a fibroid in March of 2012. They told me not to worry about it. So I didn't, and I had a lot going on that summer. I was newly engaged, 25 years old, so I didn't really think much of it. We had a lot going on, and I just kind of had put it off. So in August of 2012, I stood up with excruciating pain, and everything was just going black and things weren't good, and I went into the ER, and that fibroid that they had seen in my womb in March of that year had grown to 10 centimeters. So they said they needed to take it out right away. So we go to take it out, and the surgery didn't go as planned. It crumbled apart. So it raised red flags. They thought this wasn't a fibroid, but they were hopeful that maybe it was just some freak thing and it wasn't going to be this cancer, but it was a possibility. So we were planning on working on trying to have a baby afterwards. We never thought that it was going to go to cancer, but it did. So I get the phone call one night walking to my friends, and he tells me, you have endometrial stromal sarcoma low grade. My mind went to, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm 25. How am I gonna do this? How am I? What? What? No. Um, so I walked into my friend's house and I blurted out, I have cancer. So we sit down. She calls her sister over. Her sister is a nurse that works locally in an oncology unit. She really didn't know what to tell me, but she just told me the steps that I was going to go through. And I left there, and then I went over to my mom's best friend's house, which is like a second mom to me. Her daughter has had cancer twice, and she's a hospice nurse, so she was very comforting, and she kind of went over everything with me. So the first step is that you go to a larger facility that deals with cancer, a cancer hospital. So they sent me to Methodist in Omaha, Nebraska. When I got there, they said the protocol was with this type of disease, which I didn't know a lot about. It's pretty rare. It doesn't affect a lot of women, and it also doesn't affect a lot of women who are younger. It's usually women who are premenopausal, going kind of into menopause type stage. So it's very rare to deal with. Anyway, but it's even rarer because of my age. So we agreed to the uterus being taken out, and they said maybe I should look into preserving my eggs, and I did. Unfortunately, there was no way I was going to be able to afford that. So I knew that that was coming to an end. Also coming to an end, at the time, he was kind of supportive during this first, was my fiance, but that wasn't going well either. It was kind of on the rocks. So I have my first surgery. He's there. My dad's there. They cut me from pubic bone to belly button and take the uterus out. They put me on a pill called letrozole and hope it doesn't grow. Unfortunately, it kept growing. So they wanted to do another biopsy to see if it would come out like okay and see if it was still low grade or if it was high grade and it was tested wrong. It did come back as low grade. The reason why it was behaving the way it was, though, was because we had the initial surgery done with the fibroid with a laparoscopic surgery. The doctors didn't know it. There was no way to know it. The reason I stress this is because if you have a fibroid or anything in your body, I highly recommend that I know it's easier to get the laparoscopy, but I highly recommend that you go a different route, because if there's any form of cancer, it spreads it. And if there's anything that you can take out of this, it would be that. Also, another thing I didn't stress in my last video, I'm not proud of this, but I took a morning after pill in 2011. And ever since I did that, it just, I kind of went down this spiral. And tubal pregnancies, I found out you can have after taking that. And it has talc powder in it, and it's 75% synthetic progesterone, because it really throw you off. So if you're watching this, and I'm not saying you're going to get cancer if you've taken it. I'm not saying if you have a fibroid it's cancerous. I'm just saying and stressing that I hope from my story that people take a second look, and maybe my story can help you. So anyways, so we do the surgery. I recover about a week in the hospital, and I come home, and physically I'm doing okay. Everything's fine that way, but the scans are saying that it's growing. So they did that biopsy. It comes back fine. They recommend me to go to a bigger facility, MD Anderson. So you go to MD Anderson in 2013. There they told us you need to get your ovaries out and just get back on letrozole and see how it goes, because this was a hormonally fed cancer, and they thought maybe without the ovaries and the hormones from that maybe it would help. We planned the surgery of August of 2013, almost a year later, and it did not go as planned. When they got in there, they cut into the bladder, they removed a ureter, they put it somewhere else on the bladder. It was a way longer surgery, and I woke up and I had asked, can you take the catheter out? Because I hate the Foley catheter. I hate it. The nurse informed me, no, you will be going home with it. Devastated, because who likes the Foley catheter? Nobody. I called my mom, and she informed me that it was true, that because they removed the ureters that we would need that to repair, so I would have to keep it in. I was pretty devastated about it. It's very uncomfortable. It's not fun. So I went home with it, and it was difficult. But I walked every day, and I clung to God during that, and things were kind of falling apart for me. My fiance had left, but was still kind of hanging on, and mentally, anybody who has cancer knows that anything emotionally that goes on extra is it's a lot to deal with. But that was the least of my worries. I was focusing on living, and at the time I couldn't even really grieve anything that was going on, grieve the babies, grieve my life, grieve anything. I just had to say, I have to live for my son. This is what I have to do. So I was very determined to get over these surgeries, get over this pain, to get to just being free from cancer. That's what I had wanted. Hold on, I gotta plug this in real quick. So I just wanted to be free from it. I didn't think that it would go the way that it did. So, we're at the point where they take the ovaries out. I'm recovering. I have the Foley catheter, and I go through all that, and I think, okay, things are going to get better. 2014's coming up. It's my year. 14's my lucky number. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be great, actually. And 2014 comes, and New Year's Day, I go in, and they say, you need to go to Methodist. So I go to Methodist. They tell me things aren't looking good, and if I don't do something, chemotherapy was their only option they could give me. But they just said it wasn't going to look good, and eventually it would kill me in less than a year. And I thought, less than a year? Like, I had ran a 5K that year, Jingle Bell Run, ran the whole thing, didn't stop once. I thought, how is this possible that I'm going to be dead in less than a year? I just couldn't even think that that was going to happen. And I just didn't understand. And the percentage rate with chemotherapy was like 20%. And I had been on a group with women who had this, and I knew that chemotherapy with this just wasn't a good idea. Didn't feel right in my gut. It didn't feel right in my heart. It just didn't feel right in my heart. And I just didn't believe for me it was going to work. So I had to do what I believed in. So they called an oncology doctor, or a chemotherapy doctor, to come in and talk to me about this. And that's where they informed me about the chemo, and that if I didn't do this, that I was going to have less than a year. And so freaking out a little bit inside, but also thinking my options through, just because, with this type, there isn't a lot to go on. So I thought I need to really just think things through and research and figure it out. So they brought the chemotherapy doctor in that night. She ends up going over things with me, but something inside just told me I was not going to trust her because she had lied to me. My gynecologist had told me that she had never seen this type get this way. And they work in the same hospital. This doctor would have had to see somebody with my same disease, and that patient would have had to go through their office, the gynecological office. None of them had seen this. So this doctor was lying to me. At the time, was I angry? Yes. But now I know that they can only offer you what they have to offer. And they are afraid that if you don't do it, that you're done for. I understand that. That's their knowledge. At the time, I didn't. But now that I've gone through this journey and I know the things that I know that she was just doing the best she could. But I caught her in a lie. I said, well, I would do it, but if I do it, I want a chemosensitivity test, and I need some more time to think about it. She said, a chemosensitivity test? You can't test your tumor to see if it's going to respond to the chemo or not. And I said, yes, but I can test my blood to see if I'm even allergic to the chemo, because I'm a highly chemically sensitive person. She was a little upset. She said, okay. So we go home. Okay. And in another video, I'm going to read my writings to you. But we go home, and her office calls me on a Monday. We left on a Friday. They said, we don't have enough tissue to do your chemosensitivity test. And I sat there and I said, for the last time, I know you can't test my tumor. I said, this is a blood. It's not tumor. So they just say, okay, well, they call me back on Wednesday. We have enough tissue to do your chemosensitivity test. I said, well, where did you get the tissue from? And like I said, it's the testing with the blood. I've read about this. It's chemosensitivity test. You guys don't do it a lot in the States, but you can request it. So I just said, it's not going to matter anyway, because I'm not going to do it. And so yeah, so this is how I got on my natural journey. So I'm going to leave off here in my cancer story. The next part, I really want to let you guys in on how I got in the natural and how I found my way through it. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to post my next video. And I'm sorry the last one got deleted, and I hope you watch this again. It's a little bit quicker, faster version with a little bit more info. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.